What is good, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am reviewing Purple Rain, directed by Albert Magnoli and starring Prince, Apollonia, Morris Day, and Clarence Williams III. After the review, I'll also just be talking about Prince in general as one of my favorite musicians. It's been so long since I've done a movie review, I realize, so I think it's really cool that I'm doing this movie. Purple Rain is the story of the kid. So the kid is played by Prince, who is an aspiring musician who plays at a very popular music venue in Minnesota called First Avenue. Now, he's kind of a second-tier musician, which we'll get into later. At this venue, he plays with his band, The Revolution. So he's not known as Prince, he's called The Kid, and the band is introduced as The Revolution. Morris Day, who just goes by Morris in the movie, is the big act at First Avenue. Now, it's a very simple story, but there's a few little things going on, all focused around the kid. Again, the kid is played by Prince. So the kid is a very self-involved musician, although obviously very talented, but he has a lot of issues going on in a few issues going on in his life. So one, at home, he has a father who's played by Clarence Williams III, who's very abusive to his mother. We're going to get into the father and son dynamic, which I think is a very interesting one later on in the review. He also falls in love and gets infatuated with this singer who comes to town named Apollonia. She comes to town to Minnesota to get an opportunity at First Avenue. She's from New Orleans. He becomes infatuated with her. So you have their little love story going on. He also has a conflict going on within the band because he only wants to play his music. And obviously we know why. And the band they kind of get, their music gets rejected by him. He's a very self-involved person who just looked at like he's only looking out for himself. Now, Apollonia and him hit it off, but they have a falling out when Apollonia decides to join Morris Day's girl group, which he's just pretty much using to exploit the kind of girls. They don't really, he says even in the movie, they don't really know how to sing. They just really need to look good. That's pretty much what's implied. So obviously the kid is very upset with this because him and Apollonia have had intimate moments. They've gone to the lake, which is not Lake Minnetonka, and they have, they've had sex. They've had intimate moments, so he's very upset when she splits to go with Morris Day. He's obviously at home dealing with having a father who is also a musician and is abusive to his mother. So he has some things going on with his life. He's obviously a very talented musician, but he's just trying to find his place. And thankfully, he kind of figures it all out in the end and makes the right decision. So it's a very simple little plot line, nothing too crazy. There's so much I like about the movie. So if you've ever seen like a movie like Dick Tracy or something like that, it's basically like almost like a comic book music movie. It's a very cool style to it. I really enjoy it. It's like a Dick Tracy music movie is the best way I could describe it. Also, I forgot the starring is Prince's bike, his motorcycle, which we're going to get into when I get into like some nitpicks about the movie. There's so much to like about. Obviously, the music is fantastic. This Purple Rain is known as Prince's best album, and I can totally see why the other two albums I would put above it. We'll get into my album ranking later in the video. There's not a bad song on the album. The movie opens up with Let's Go Crazy. I love it. He just knows how to so we're going to kind of tie in the album as well. Why not? It only makes sense. Let's Go Crazy is the perfect way to kick it off. Again, like I always mention, just like in a film, you want to kick it off with a punch. Let's Go Crazy is the starting point. It's the best way to start the album. The music is laid mostly, the scenes are mostly done at First Avenue, the club, but there's also scenes throughout the movie that have the music in there. Like one of my favorite parts is Take Me With You, and it's just a little sequence where him and Apollonia go to his like little getaway, his Paisley Park, if you will, this little lake, this little private area. He takes her on the motorcycle. It's just a cool little scene because you can imagine just taking your girlfriend, the person you love, just to your little private place and it makes it all the more special. So obviously when they have their falling out, he gets emotional when he goes there because he sees her there. So, and the reason they have a falling out is some of his personality traits kick in. Now his father, who's played by Clarence Williams III, and I do want to point out he is easily the best actor in the movie. Anytime he's in a scene, he steals the show, even though he's playing an absolute lunatic, abusive husband and father. He's a great actor, and he does a great job in this movie. But I do want to point out the father and son dynamic in the film. So the kid is obviously a musician, but he has a lot of inner rage, a lot of anger issues, and these things come to a head. Now, in the end of the movie, he realizes, you know, his father, he's a lot like his father because he has bursts of rage throughout the film, particularly on Apollonia whenever she does anything to upset him, even though she genuinely cares for him. She buys him a guitar, and then right afterwards she says she's going to join Morris's band, and he hits her. Like, that's not cool. And he sees that he's kind of like his dad. And for me personally, I can not on the same level, but I can kind of relate a little bit because my dad does have some inner rage issues. I'm not gonna, it wasn't like that with my mom in any way, but he is kind of a cynical, sarcastic person, kind of like I've become. And also my dad is very artistic. Now, I'm not artistic like my father. My father's a very good photographer. He's a good sketch artist. He used to paint. So I'm not artistic at the same level as my dad, but I do enjoy the arts. I do enjoy practicing creativity. So I can enjoy that little dynamic. And I didn't, you know, I watched the movie after he died, which unfortunately we are going to talk about. I'm going to be talking about a lot. This video is going to go a little bit long. So I enjoyed seeing that dynamic, although it's tough watching this man be abusive to his wife and to his son. It's interesting seeing the son realize, hey, I'm a lot like my dad, and I don't know what's going on with him, and he comes to forgive him in the end. And I have a similar dynamic myself with my father. I had a lot of angst toward my father over the years, but I've come and made peace with that. So I really like that aspect of the movie. I will get back to the movie. Don't want to digress too much into personal stuff. But I do like the father-son dynamic, and it also was very relatable to me. Obviously, the music's really good. The music sequences are really good. Morris is absolutely fun in the movie, played by Morris Day. Everybody is their actual name in the movie. Lisa and Wendy from the Revolution. Everyone's their actual name except for Prince, who's the kid, which would be a little bit too obvious if he was Prince. But yeah, Morris Day and Jerome have a cool little dynamic. There's a little password, the little sequence, they do a little Abbott and Costello routine that's really funny. I believe the club owner's name is Bobby. Bobby's pretty funny and pretty cool. He obviously has a falling out with the kid because he wants the kid to do certain types of music, play certain styles. He's not bringing people in like he used to. And just the dynamic between the characters is very fun. It's very lighthearted. Morris Day's big eyes anytime someone confronts him is really cool. But Apollonia looks absolutely ravishing in the movie. She's a decent singer, but she's absolutely ravishing in the movie. It's shot beautifully. It just has a cool style to it, a cool look. It's very of its time. My favorite, it's hard to pick a favorite music sequence. Like I said, Let's Go Crazy is a great one to start off with. I would say when he's doing Darling Nikki at the club and he got his shirt off, he goes up the stairs, he finds her phone number on the stairs, just like the lyrics in the song, and he's up there convulsing on this stage. He's singing all these songs to her. They do a very good job. I forgot to say it. They do a very good job. All the songs he does, he's tying them in. He's talking to her. When he sings The Beautiful Ones, which is one of my favorite songs on the album, he's singing to her because she's sitting with Morris, and he's like, is it me or him? You know, you always lose the beautiful ones. And when he's singing Darling Nikki, he's talking about their times, you know, their sexual interactions. And at the end, my favorite song off the album is I Would Die For You. Although there's not a bad song on the album. Take Me With You is a good one. It's all really good the way they tie it in. There's not really any negatives with the film. Obviously, whenever you have a film where there has to do with something where characters are having to do something outside of acting, where it's not just playing a generic type, not generic type, but like a regular character, like in a sports movie they have to play athletes, you're going to have some not so great acting. However, with Prince, I will not sit here and say his acting is great by any stretch of the imagination, but it's charmingly bad. That's what I'll just say. His line delivery, he's adorable. His line delivery is just really cool. Again, not a negative, but him on the motorcycle, come on. He's 5'2". There's no way he's riding a motorcycle, but it's cool that he does. The motorcycle is like twice the size of him. Him and Apollonia's relationship is really cool. In the movie, his little riffs with Morris, his relationship with his parents, it's all really good. Again, I don't have really any negatives. If you take the movie in the context of what it is, it's really good. It's really fun to rewatch. But kind of getting into some, if you haven't seen it, I absolutely recommend it, and absolutely recommend the album. The album is, again, not a weak song on there. I just listen to other Prince albums that I have a more of attachment to. That's, well, I'll get into my album ranking. But it's some scenes are really hard to watch, especially the opening where he's singing "Let's Go Crazy, Don't Let the Elevator Break You Down," where we know that's unfortunately where he met his demise. So it's pretty sad seeing him, you know, especially someone who really likes his music. It was hard. It's fun, but also it's just, you know, anytime a human being, a person dies, it's a sad thing. It's not ever good times. Let's be honest. But it's sad for that person's family, their friends, anyone who has memories with them, anyone who made them laugh. It's a tough time. I do believe that when we lose an artist, especially one, whether they're still creating or not, it's hard always to lose an artist, especially one that dies before their time. And for me, it hit me hard with Prince. You know, there's many artists I could go through the list. You know, Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robin Williams. I mean, River Phoenix. These are very sad. Anytime we lose an artist, because artists, you know, we don't know them personally, you know, like you would a family member or a friend, but they found a way to connect to people they never met and probably never will meet through their experiences, through sharing their creativity and their art and putting themselves out there. Being an artist, I'm not an artist myself, but it's a very not easy life for these. It's a risky life. You're risking, you know, your future and money to put yourself out there. And these people did it, and they connected with people. I think especially musicians, and you know, ones like River Phoenix, who was a musician and an actor, so he was very involved in the arts. And it's always sad for me when we lose an artist. And it was very sad for me when I found out that Prince died. I was very sad that day. That was not one of my, although I listened to his music all day that day. I took off of work. I was living out in Arizona at the time. And I was just it just hit me in watching this movie. It's just, you know, you wish he was still around. You wish his personality, he had a very magnetic personality. You know, he's one of a kind. You know, I love him. I got into his music before I even knew who he was. Because when I was a little kid in the early 90s, I loved the movie, the Batman movies, the Tim Burton Batman movies. And I found out later that Prince did all the music. Now, my favorite scene from the first Batman movie is Party Man, where Jack Nicholson, who's playing the Joker, is going throughout the art museum, doing graffiti, going crazy throughout the art museum. And Party Man is playing Party Man. Party Man, and I found out a couple of years later that was Prince. So anytime I recognized his voice somewhere, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's him. So I loved all of his songs. 1999 was one of my favorite ones. When I was a little kid, Little Red Corvette, Purple Rain. I got into Dirty Mind when I started record collecting. All really good stuff. Even I kind of diverged away from him in the 90s when he got into like this funk phase. Although I absolutely respect it. I really, when I was in high school, somewhere around there, toward the end of my high school years, right after high school, he put out Musicology, which is one of my favorite Prince albums, and I'll just do my album ranking right now. It'll probably be my number 5 favorite Prince album. Musicology is a really good one. Cinnamon Girls on there. Really, really good, really fun album. And, you know, I miss him. I wish the best for his family, although I know he didn't want any of his music out on these streaming platforms like YouTube or Spotify. In a way, I'm glad it is, but also I do have a bit of a conflict in knowing that it was against something that he really wanted to do. But so just let me do a quick, I'll do my album ranking. So obviously I mentioned Musicology would be number 5. 1999 I would put at number 4. My favorite songs off that album are Little Red Corvette and Free. Number 3 I would say is, I'll put Purple Rain. Then we got Dirty Mind. The title track off of that is really good. It's a very sexy type of album. He's kind of getting into his own. With his first album, he was just putting himself out there, and he got a little bit of money with Dirty Mind. Just a fun album. Head is a really good song off that album. And my favorite, as I mentioned yesterday, is Around the World in a Day. But I miss him. I never met him. Never got to see him live, but his music always makes me happy. And it's there for me when I'm sad. And the movie is really good. He also did Under the Cherry Moon. Also another very good movie, although Purple Rain is more rewatchable in my opinion. But I just did want to take today, because I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to again, to talk about one of my favorite musicians, my favorite artists, Prince. Yeah, I miss him very much. Rest in peace, Prince, and you know, condolences and love to your family. And let's make sure we keep the memory of his music and his art alive. He was one of a kind, and I don't think we'll ever get one like him again. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate your time. You guys take care, be well, and have a wonderful day.